prevent giving them the chills, it tends to apply to anything that elicits a particularly strong reaction of either positive or negative emotion. I'm not necessarily talking sadness like that scene in Final Fantasy VII, or enjoyment like watching Geralt turn the tables on the evil Imlerith in The Witcher 3, but it's something of a mix between the two. Real emotional weight, brought on by a number of factors that hammer home a particular set piece, character moment, or mission climax. I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and these are just a handful of powerful moments that made us all pull a Neo face. Whoa. Number 10, getting the Normandy back, Mass Effect 2. Following one of the greatest introductory sequences of all time, worthy of a few skin flutters itself, in which the iconic ship Normandy has been blown to smithereens along with you and your crew, the game takes on a weird sense of mystery as you piece together what's happened in the years following the incident. It's precisely because of this that the scene has so much weight. When it's revealed your pilot Joker not only survived, but is working for the same elusive man who resurrected your charred remains in the first place, you're then reunited with your old friend, before realizing your mysterious benefactors have also built an all-new Normandy to blast off around the galaxy in. There are endless reasons why Mass Effect 2 is one of the greatest games of all time, but right in the opening few hours, this is one of the biggest. Number 9, crossing into Mexico, Red Dead Redemption. Easily one of the finest moments in gaming history, not only is an awesome feeling of levity after the draining gunfight you've just had in crossing the border itself, but also thanks to the choice of song. Jose Gonzalez's Far Away is such a gorgeously subdued piece of music, perfectly encapsulating where John Marston is in the story as he ventures further and further away from home. The true ending of Red Dead is well known thanks to letting you deliver swift justice to Edgar Ross, the man who kills main character John Marsden, but I'm sticking with the warm, fuzzy feeling that washes over you with the sun setting as this song plays out and you ride off into the unknown. At number 8, Rex vs. Ray, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. The script meeting for Metal Gear Solid 4 must have been amazing. Literally, it feels as though Hideo Kojima and his team took one look at their ceiling-scratching notice board of dangling plot threads, characters and objectives, and then came up with the most enjoyable ways that they could all be connected and resolved together. The final Solid vs. Liquid fistfight is a great moment, but it's this battle that comes earlier, which gained major fan service points thanks to including the original game's gigantic dinosaur mech, which I'm putting up there instead. Showing that underneath all the questionable decisions, Kojima really just wants to please the fans. Having you get behind the controls of the classic Metal Gear Rex and batter Liquid as he comes at you in the Metal Gear Solid 2 Ray is easily one of the most enjoyable action scenes in all of gaming. At number 7, destroying Megaton in Fallout 3. Talk about your dastardly choices presented in any game. Within the first couple of hours of Fallout 3, you've already been given the option to nuke an entire town packed with civilians. Sure, it makes for a lovely yet twisted image, but between talking to the elusive Mr. Burke and actually rigging the charge to detonate, you'll be mulling over all sorts of second thoughts as to whether or not you should do it. Say you do go for it, and let's be honest, we all did just to see how it would look. The desolate winds whipping around the wasteland are suddenly accompanied by the distant sounds of pure devastation. A perfectly realistic looking nuclear cloud fills the screen after a blinding light, and you're left with either a shed load of guilt, or the first step into playing Fallout 3 like an every man for himself maniac. At number 6, it looks like they were cut by some type of blade from Metal Gear Solid. It makes sense that one of the most cinematic gaming franchises of all time would nail some of the most bone-chilling and impactful moments of all time, yet all of us who played through Metal Gear Solid 1 will always remember the first trip down this macabre corridor like it was yesterday. Upon venturing deeper into the Shadowmoster's stronghold, Snake remarks that the soldiers were cut by some type of blade.
It looks like they were cut by some type of blade.
The accompanying score is a mess of demonic whispers as the enemy's wounds reveal themselves to be more and more severe, and you just know the big reveal is coming right around the corner. Suddenly you see the mysterious cloaked ninja Grey Fox standing there, suspending one final body on the tip of his sword before walking off and begging you to follow. The personification of giving you the chills, this is one of my personal favourite gaming moments of all time. At number 5, everything about Lisa, PT. PT is one of the finest horror experiences you could ever have, one so effective and genuinely terrifying it still gives me ice cold chills to this day. Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima joining forces to scare our collective pants off more than did its job, and why? Because of Lisa. The zombified spirit that haunted the halls of the area you were doomed to walk through over and over was set to trigger at a completely random interval, meaning that even if you knew what was coming, a swift and brutal death, you never knew when it was coming, and that was more effective than any jump scare that falls back on just spiking the volume to make sure you're still awake. Number 4, the hill climb in Journey. Journey's minimalist and experimental nature favours exploration and adventure, pairing you online with another player, yet you can't interact with them other than emitting short sound bursts. It's a stroke of genius, and from the highest sound dunes to the lowest tombs, you'll forge a bond with this anonymous companion, communicating only through the simplest of noises to indicate when you found something worth pointing out. This idea of restraining communication resonates better than you imagine, and come the final couple of levels that see you battling intense cold in an attempt to scale what you assume is the home straight, instead, both you and your partner actually end up perishing together. Naturally, it's not the end, but for those few seconds when you're battling on, gripping the controller tighter and assuming your newfound friend is doing the same, everything Journey represents is perfectly executed. You'll want nothing more than to make it through and see the end of your adventure together, and that's a feeling that hits way harder than you expect. At number 3, the 13th Colossus, Shadow of the Colossus. Aside from maybe God of War, there's not really been a game that's totally nailed that sense of David vs. Goliath style scope quite like Shadow of the Colossus. As you're simply playing as one young boy mounted atop a horse that's attempting to take down a string of gigantic mythical creatures, the actual feat of doing so means scaling every part of them in the process. Although there are many ground-based and you'll need to clamber up the backs and ankles, limbs, etc. as Wanda hangs on for dear life, the really memorable Colossi are those that take you underwater, or in this case, far into the sky. Not only is the 13th Colossus a suitably monstrous beast, it's also incredibly elegant in motion, flexing a terrific wingspan as it first appears, and making for one hell of an entrance as the realization settles in that you have to take it down. At number 2, pretty much all of the suicide mission in Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 is easily one of the greatest games of all time, and following almost 100 hours in the company of some of the best written characters the medium's ever seen, it then tasked you with keeping them all alive, the end credits happening regardless of how many of you actually made it through the final assault. It's not called a suicide mission for nothing, as outcomes range from your entire squad making it through to just yourself to nobody at all, leaving just the ship's pilot Joker staring off into space on an empty vessel accompanied only by the ship's AI Edie for company. Either you all made it home for Christmas or you didn't, but either way, the sheer gravitas of knowing that you and your friends were at the heart of the expedition in the first place is a sensation that no other game has ever come close to, and probably never will. And at number 1, Snake's final salute in Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Although people keep expecting him to, former Metal Gear mastermind Hideo Kojima is yet to turn his hand to film, instead using the medium of video games to create amazingly detailed works of fiction that have helped amass a following worldwide. In addition, he's the master of the late game reveal, tying some startling revelations surrounding antagonist the boss's intentions with that of your own. Following a pretty weighty scene where the game actually waits for you to pull the trigger yourself to finish her off, it's the final cutscene that has the teary-eyed Eva describing how the boss's mission was actually to die by your hand. It dawns on you that the boss was on your side the whole time, and by finishing her off, the government can blame her for all the real bad guys' evil doing. This is something she was aware of all along, and it leaves Snake as one of the only people who really knows the truth. He salutes, knowing that although the boss is the embodiment of pure patriotism, that mission has also put her in the ground. It's immensely tragic stuff, and easily one of the medium's finest moments. So that's our list. Let us know your own chilling moments in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find